Welcome. I'm going to show you how to edit the 3 Cupcake Mockup in Photopea. So go to photopea.com in any web browser, photopea.com. I'm using Google Chrome just because it worked a little faster than Safari, so if you're having any trouble with your web browser, you might want to try Google Chrome. Once Photopea is up, just double-click Open from Computer to open the mockup. Then it's going to load for a few seconds. And once it does, we're going to be working in this Layers panel right here. If you don't see the Layers panel, go up to this menu up here and go to Window, Layers to bring it up. Then once it's up, just click the arrow next to any of the cupcake layers to expand the layer group. And then click the arrow next to Topper to expand that layer group. And then you'll see this layer that says Design-Topper. You just want to double click the thumbnail icon in the Design Dash layer. And that'll open up a smart object. And then you can go to File, Open, and find your design. And then go to Select All, then Edit, Copy, and click back on the Smart Object tab and go to Edit, Paste. If it's not the right size, you might want to resize it. You can do that by holding down the Shift key to keep it proportional, and then just clicking and dragging any of the 4 corners. And then when it's sized right, you can just go to File, Save Smart Object. And then once it says Smart Object Updated, just click the X to close the Smart Object, and then close your graphics. And it'll be on the topper just like that. Now you can repeat the same with the other 2 cupcakes by just clicking the arrow next to the cupcake, then the arrow next to Topper, and then double clicking the thumbnail icon in the Design Dash layer. And this time, since you already copied it, you can just go to Edit, Paste. You can go to File, Save, and then just close the Smart Object. And do the same thing for the last cupcake, clicking the arrow next to the layer, then the arrow next to Topper, and then double clicking the thumbnail in the Design Dash layer, and then going to Edit, Paste, and then File, Save Smart Object, and close that. Now it's on all 3. If you don't need the circle topper, you can just click the eye icon next to the Topper layer to turn it off. You can do that for all 3 cupcakes. And then you can go in and just copy and paste the design right onto the toothpick. So we'll go to File, Open, find the design. Then once it opens, go to Select All, then Edit, Copy, then we'll go to Edit, Paste, and it looks like it pasted it into our topper layer. So we're just going to click and drag on this new layer and drag it to the top of the Layers panel. And we'll just click and drag on the topper. You need to resize it. You can hold down the Shift key and just drag any one of the 4 corners. We'll just click and drag to move it in place. Let's see, then you can right click or control click on the layer and select Duplicate Layer to duplicate that. And you can drag the duplicated layer on top of the other cupcakes. And we can control click or right click again on the duplicated layer and click Duplicate Layer to duplicate it a 3rd time. Now we've got our design on all the cupcake or the toothpicks. We'll turn the topper off. If you don't need the toothpicks in there, you can also turn them off. They're on a separate layer by just clicking the eye icon next to the toothpick layer to turn it off. We can do that for all 3 cupcakes. You can just click and drag on the layer and just drag each of them down if your topper goes right on the cupcake. You can also change the color of the frosting. To do that, once you've clicked the arrow next to the front cupcake, or the right one or the left one, you can click the arrow next to cupcake and then the arrow next to frosting. And then there's this layer here that says color-frosting. You want to double click the thumbnail icon in that layer. And that's opening up the color picker. It used to open up the properties panel for me. So if you see the properties panel like this, or the info panel, just select the properties tab, then select the layer tab, and then double click the color fill box to bring up the color picker. And once you have the color picker up, you can just click anywhere in the rainbow slider to change the color. You can also click in this gradiated box here to change the lightness and darkness of that color. Or you can enter the color values if you know them. And once you got a color selected, if you want that color on all 3 cupcakes, you can just click in the hex box and then drag to select the number, and then press Command C to copy it on a Mac, or Control C on a PC. And then we're just going to go in and do the same thing for the other 2 cupcakes. So we'll make sure to expand the right cupcake, and then click the arrow to expand cupcake, and then click the arrow to expand frosting, and then double click the thumbnail icon in the color-frosting layer for that cupcake. And then we'll click in the hex box and drag to select that number, and we'll press Command V to paste the new color, or Control V on a PC. And we'll repeat that for the last cupcake, expanding the left cupcake layer group, then clicking the arrow next to cupcake, then the arrow next to frosting, and double clicking the last layer that says color dash. Then we'll click in the hex box, drag to select, press Command V or Control V again, click OK. Now I've changed the frosting color for all 3 cupcakes. You can also increase the contrast of the frosting if you want to do that, by just clicking the arrow next to front cupcake, then cupcake, and clicking the eye icon next to the more shading layer to turn it on, and then clicking on the more shading layer, and then clicking the down arrow next to opacity, and then just dragging the slider to the right or the left to make the contrast more contrasty or more subtle. You can also do something similar for the shadows under the cupcake. So once you have this front cupcake layer, or the right cupcake or left cup layer expanded, you can click the arrow next to shadows under cupcake, and then click on any of the shadow layers, and click the down arrow next to opacity, and drag the slider to the right to make the shadow darker, or the left to make it more subtle. If you want to, you can change the backgrounds. Depending on which mockup you purchased, you might have different backgrounds. You can just click the arrow next to backgrounds to expand that layer group, and then just click the eye icons on and off to toggle through the layers. You could also add your own layer, own background if you wanted to do that, by going to File, Open, and then copying and pasting it behind all the other layers. When you're all done, you can go to File, Export as JPEG to save a thumbnail for use online on websites like Etsy. You could also come back here a second time and go to File, Save as PSD to save the layered PSD file with your design. And please message me if you have any questions at melissabmockups.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you get updates to future videos. And as always, this mockup and other mockups are available at melissabmockups.com. Thank you.